Hey everybody, welcome back to Dodongo.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Dodongo
Dislikes, another gaming podcast.
Another gaming podcast.
What are you doing?
I'm your Ecco.
Oh, yeah. Don't do that.
All right.
I see what you're doing. Don't do that.
Okay, don't do that.
We'll save like the cheesy jokes for later on.
Yeah, we'll save the cheesy jokes
when we run out of content. Hey everybody, welcome back to Dodongo Dislikes, another gaming podcast. My name is Isiot.
This is Birdman.
And we are here today to talk about Ecco the Dolphin.
Ecco the Dolphin.
Ecco the Dolphin. So we've talked before about, like, I didn't have a Genesis. You didn't have a Genesis. We're very Nintendo heavy on some of these podcasts. And we've been accused of being Nintendo heavy and maybe Nintendo fanboys, right?
Well, yeah, I think so, and I think maybe there's some legitimacy to that, but here's the thing. I didn't own a Genesis, you didn't own a Genesis. Let me ask you this. Did you want a Genesis?
No.
Why not?
I didn't own one because I didn't want one. Like, what was it? What am I going to play, Sonic? I had a Super Nintendo.
But that's it. That was what I was trying to bait you toward, is that from a technology standpoint, the Genesis outpaced the NES.
But
they didn't have any games. They didn't have any characters. They didn't have a Zelda. I guess they had a Mario. They had Sonic. But after Sonic, who were we left with as our secondary flagship character for Sega?
Tails.
It's Ecco the damn Dolphin.
Was it?
Yeah.
It was. I remember, because this game came out December 23rd, 1992. And I remember having conversations with, like, Genesis fanboys. And Ecco always came up. Like, and I don't know what it is about this game, like, back in the day, because kind of going back to what we talked about with the Super Mario Brothers 2, like, if you didn't grow up in the generation that the game came out, it's a completely different vibe these days. Like, now if you read about Ecco the Dolphin, it's like how hard it is, or it just doesn't seem like a great game depending on who it is. But back then, I remember it being kind of a big deal because it's a game where you played as a dolphin. And people love dolphins. Like, if you ever go down to, like, Florida, or if you're in Florida, not so much, but, like, Midwesterners like us, if we're down in Florida and I'm at a restaurant on the beach and someone sees a dolphin, everyone freaks out. You can tell who doesn't. It's like, oh my God, there's a dolphin.
You know, it's interesting. You had down that it released in December 22nd. I had written down that 23rd. It released the 23rd. I had written down that it released the 29th. And I probably got it wrong because I was looking at that. I was like, why would you release this purposely 4 days after Christmas? It's almost, if I am right, if it is the 29th, it's almost like Sega was purposely trying to not sell video games.
I found my information on Wikipedia, so I don't know where you found your information.
I found my information on Wikipedia.
What?
I don't know where. It doesn't matter. It released at some point in December of 1992. Maybe before Christmas, right. Maybe after Christmas. Either way, didn't really end up mattering that much because ultimately we know what happened to Sega. So Sega. So
this is our. You didn't own it, obviously. No. We didn't have Genesis. Genesi. What would that be?
Multiple Genesis.
We didn't own. If I'm talking collectively, we didn't own Genesi.
We did not own Genesi.
Genesis' system. There was and I know I talked about it. We kind of briefly listened to the Sonic episode. The first season where we talked about Genesis a little bit.
Oddly enough, was also our third episode of the season. Like, our third episode is where we have that obligatory, we got to throw Sega a bone into a game based on Genesis, or, I don't know, maybe 32X at some point. I don't know.
I don't have a 32X, though. Do you?
I do.
Does it work?
It does.
Oh, well, that's fancy. There was a neighborhood kid that had a Genesis, and I think I talked about this during the Sonic episode, but it was like, let's go play Genesis at your house. Like, little rich kids of divorced parents own Sega Genesises. Genesi. That was my theory on the Sega Genesis. But I never.
So does that make them the Genesis Society? I don't know.
I don't know. Look, we talk about Ecco the Dolphin.
Yeah. So this game, when I think I probably heard of this game when it came out, but I didn't really, like, obviously I didn't have a Genesis, I didn't play it. But I know, looking at it here again recently, because I bought this game probably a year ago, the first one and the second one, and I haven't played them until last week before we started working on the podcast. And I sat down to play the game, and I thought, this is just going to be a straightforward game. about it. Just like a cute game for kids,
Right.
you know, where you're doing dolphin stuff. You're catching fish and befriending humans near the beach, doing
That's
flips.
what I thought.
Maybe kicking field goals for the Miami Dolphins. But it's not. It's not,
It is not.
that
It is
at
a
all.
weird game.
It's a really weird game.
If you're trying to sell it, because I worked at Toys R Us, and this was one of the games that, even though it came out in 92, I worked at Toys R Us in like 93, 94, and this was like, people just see like, oh, it's a dolphin game. And we talked about how people just love dolphins. So that kind of morphed into like, well, this is an amazing game, because who doesn't love a game about dolphins? But let's remind ourselves that if it's a game about a dolphin, it's also a game that is one big water level. So in the tradition of water levels, this game is terrible. For this podcast, you played it on the original Genesis.
I did. So, all right.
Full disclosure, before we get too deep into this, how far did you make it?
So that was the next point that I was really going to bring up. Is you mentioned how people saw this and they're like, oh, it's just going to be a cute game with a dolphin where you just sort of do flips in the water and swim around. And I think if it wasn't for the advent of the internet and the accessibility that we've got right now, that's exactly what this game would have been for me. I never would have figured out getting past the first area. It would have been just be swimming around in a little pool area as a dolphin. And as far as I was concerned, that's all there was to this game. Then you do a flip up in the air. And I don't want to get too far ahead, but it causes this tornado thing, and then the game starts and it gets real weird. I didn't make it very far.
I didn't make it far.
And I didn't make it very far for the reason you just brought up, is people hate water levels. And so Sega had the ingenious idea to make a game that's based entirely on a water level. And so what do they give us? They give us a character that can, a fish, a shark? No, they give us a mammal, so that not only are you stuck playing a water level, but you still have to come up for oxygen.
Oh, yeah.
You aren't even at home in the environment that you're stuck in the entire game. You still have to find air bubbles.
It's a lot of caves, so you're not even, there's not very, I think there's like one level where you're in the open ocean, and there's about 10,000 sharks. There's nothing in the air, in the level, but sharks. I think the level is actually called open ocean. I didn't make it past the second level. And the only reason that I know about the open ocean level is because I watched a playthrough. I sat down for an hour and watched someone play through this game.
I did the same thing.
Which was pure torture.
It really was. It was very laborious just watching. I couldn't imagine playing through that far in the game. The part of the game that I actually played myself maybe totaled 45 minutes, and that's about all I could take.
I was getting mad. I can't remember what the game was that we reviewed in the first season where I said, like, this game puts me in a bad mood. Like, this game puts me in just the worst mood.
It puts me in a bad mood because it's confusing. Everyone speaks in riddles. We can come back to that. For a game that should be as exciting and unexplored and as colorful as the ocean, just the vastness of the ocean, it just feels very compact and boring. Even the music, it's got this general like spa music. It's nothing about this game stands out. There's nothing memorable about this game.
Did we go back to the very beginning of the game where the spout shows up? Now, it doesn't really do a very good job of telling you what exactly is going on there, and it does
a terrible. You have to read the manual, otherwise you have no idea what's going on. I couldn't even tell when I was playing that it was supposed to be a tornado or a water spout. I just thought that shit from the sea was sort of flying up indiscriminately into the air.
Well, see,
it didn't
what I
look
thought
like a water spout to
you
me.
were playing as Ecco the Dolphin during Thanos' snap, and the stuff from the sea was actually your dolphin friends being the quarter percenters. What did he do? It was half.
It was 50-50.
The 50-50. So the 50 percenters were being dusted out, and you were left as Ecco the Dolphin, because why wouldn't you have also got sucked up in the air with them? So
I don't know, but this game makes me wish that Thanos would have just snapped twice.
Dodongo dislikes the fact that Ecco the Dolphin did not get snapped out of existence, and his other friends did, because this game
is a waste of time.
It was a waste of our time. So you mentioned the trivia puzzle. So what happens is you start as Ecco the Dolphin, and you continue to play Ecco the Dolphin, and you're swimming around, and the whole basis of the game is trying to find your friends, I guess.
Yeah, you have to go looking for your friends. So you're looking
pod.
for your pod of missing porpoise.
Of course! That might not do any good. You see, nobody's missing a porpoise. It's a dolphin that's been taken.
Oh, okay. Dolphins.
Is there a difference? I guess if there's any oceanographers out there.
Is there a difference between
what's the porpoise? The porpoise is the one that puts the ball on their nose. Is that a porpoise or is that a sea lion? Yeah, I don't know what the difference between a purpose and a dolphin is.
The common harbor porpoise has an abrupt snout, pointed teeth, and a triangular thoracic fin, while the bottlenose dolphin, or Tursiops truncatus, has an elongated beak, round cone-shaped teeth, and a serrated dorsal appendage. I'm sure you already knew that.
But in this game, you play as Ecco the dolphin, and let's read this. Explore the seas as Ecco the dolphin in this action-adventure game. We should have put this at the beginning. After a water spout,
the magic happens in the editing room.
After the water spout takes Ecco's friends, he must meet the ancient whales and learn Atlantean secrets and transcend both time and space. So I mentioned that I had only made it past the first level. Like I didn't even make it past the second level.
No, I didn't either.
So one of the things that Dodongo dislikes about this game is none of the not monsters. I guess none of the enemies, which are like the crabs and everything else that's out to kill you, are bound by the same geographical limitations that Ecco the dolphin is. So you have jellyfish and tigerfish and whatever else is killing Ecco the dolphin or trying to kill Ecco the dolphin for whatever reason can move through the coral. So I'm bound as Ecco the dolphin in these tunnels. I guess it's a coral reef that you're swimming through or just caves. But if you notice, like nothing else is bound by those same limitations. Like they are just freely moving through the rocks and the coral,
that's a good pickup, but now it's making me think of something else. And I got another question to ask. Why aren't the jellyfish and the tigerfish and the sharks that are out there trying to kill you, why aren't they busy looking for their 50% that got snapped up? So Dodongo dislikes that the other sea creatures are just going on like this is normal and not trying to tend to
find their pods
and find their own missing half of their pods. So in full disclosure, I played this the Saturday before the Super Bowl, and I think I was more focused on watching the Super Bowl and watching the Chiefs win than playing Ecco the dolphin.
I don't give a good goddamn about that fish. All I give a damn about's winning the Super Bowl.
I tried to play it. I sat down. I know we're talking about us playing it again, but I sat down. It might have been Saturday morning or Sunday morning. It's like, I'm going to play through this game. I just couldn't get past the second level. And I don't even know what I was supposed to do. I guess you're supposed to drop a shell down and then push it with your bottlenose over to some rocks to break the rocks. And the stupid gem at the beginning kept...
It's a really weird puzzle. I know which one you're talking about. You can't, there's these rocks that are in the way, and you can't by yourself push the rocks out of the way.
Right.
But you can drop a shell and push the shell to push the rock. It's just a super goofy puzzle mechanic.
The shell always, because if you let the shell fall all the way to the bottom,
then you're done.
You're done. You got to start over. And that stupid gem, which is another thing that Dodongo dislikes, is these gems or jewels are supposed to be something.
They all do something different. Some of them are roadblocks. Some of them give you power-ups. Some of them speak in riddles. I don't know if you want to speak about the
riddles. I wouldn't necessarily say that it's a riddle speak, but it's more like a question speak. Like every time you sonar something that it isn't meant to kill you, or one of the gems, you get a message. So remember when we talked to Sonic about how the way that he just sort of stops, they want you to be fast, but it's sort of him stopping takes the momentum out of the game.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing kind of happens here in Ecco the Dolphin, where anytime you want to talk to something or you get a message from the gym, you get a pop-up screen like it's a Jeopardy question. Like the whole screen just goes blank and the words pop up and it's some kind of stupid riddle. And I'm sitting there,
it's
like,
kind of waving.
Yeah, it's a wavy riddle, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, it's just so weird.
I see what you're talking about. It does kind of take the momentum out. You're moving around, and then it slowly pulls up that dialogue screen that does look like it's in the form of a Jeopardy question, and then it takes forever then for it to go away. And then by then, I've gotten bored and just kind of forgotten what I was doing. But then some of the people that you talk to just absolutely speak in like backwards tongue riddles.
Well,
just say what you mean to say. Stop with the riddles in the dark with Undersea Gollum. Like, it is, the game is abstract enough and confusing enough. Just tell me what you want to tell me. Dodongo dislikes that everyone speaks in riddles.
Well, Dodongo dislikes that the gating in this game, you don't fully understand. It doesn't really explain it to you. Like, I have to touch a gem with my nose. That's how you progress through the levels. You find the gem, you touch it with your nose. You can't yell at it or whatever. We'll talk about his screaming later. You can't yell at it. You touch it with your nose, and then you got to go find the gem that's supposed to
correspond with the one that you hit with your nose. It's
so
nonsense. It's kind of like Home Alone 2, where you randomly have to run all the way down a hallway just to get the elevator to work to go to the... There's no sense to it.
No, I don't even know what the gems are, and I don't know if later on, if they're supposed to be, not to spoil the game later on, but are they supposed to be put there by Atlantean people? Like, is that what they
There's
are?
nothing to spoil in this game. Since you're talking about Atlantis, can we just talk about how...
terrible this game is?
Just talk about how overly inflated this mission is. You're a dolphin. Everyone loves dolphins, but you are a dolphin.
Right.
You're not a space ranger. You don't have any weapons. You're not human. You're not like human superior like some alien race. However, fast forwarding, you do have to destroy an advanced alien race. So this game that I thought probably should have just been a simple game for kids doing these simple dolphin things, turns out you have to find the lost city of Atlantis so that you can travel through time and space. You go back in time 45 million years of the era of the dinosaurs.
Great Scott.
You work with the dinosaurs, and then ultimately you've got to have a showdown with the mother xenomorph in space.
Whoa, this is heavy.
I don't know that you work with... There's like Pteranodon Pond.
I think you have to like fly with the pterodactyl.
Yeah, the Pteranodon, but you have to... It's like sing this song to call a Pteranodon. It was because I was watching it this morning. There's no song that you sing. You just jump on the air. So it's another one of those things where you have to swim down into the ocean and find one of these dumb gems, and it will unlock a Pteranodon. Like, you don't sing, you just jump up in the air.
It's like Turtles in Time, if Turtles in Time was terrible and took place under the sea.
Yeah, you mentioned going to the Atlantis, and I guess we can fast forward all the way to Atlantis, because there's a whale, I think, that tells him to go to Atlantis. Like, he has, like, where's he getting his direction from? Like, nothing talks to you.
There's a dolphin or a porpoise or something that says, go talk to the whale. It's like playing Skyrim. It says, sends you on a quest to go find the whale. Then you find the whale, and he says, go find whatever that thing is that you were talking about, the oldest living creature in the sea.
Oh,
and that
the
gets
DNA
you to,
strand.
Yeah, so that gets you down to Atlantis, and then Atlantis has to send you back in time. And you have to go back in time so that you can change something in the future so that you can go to the space.
Yeah, you can become space dolphin. He sends you back in time. I don't know what it is. It looks like it was like an Asperix or Asterix, or they had a name for it. I don't know what it's called, but he wants you to go back in time to get a missing piece for him that makes him a better weird thing.
Yeah, I think you gotta go back in time to go to the.
He needs the extra piece of him so that he can make you or her so that him can make Ecco make people's heads explode. I don't know what's happening. Like,
Dodongo dislikes that when you go back in time, you don't have to go to the Enchantment Under the Sea ball to make sure that your parents
and play Chuck Berry's
together.
song.
Yeah.
I guess you guys aren't ready for that yet.
That would make this game infinitely more interesting. If it sounds like we're struggling through this,
it's because we're struggling through this.
This happens when we tried to do a Genesis game, and we talked about what games we could do, and really it's hard.
I will give them this. At least the 3 buttons on the Genesis controller each did something different, unlike Sonic, where each one made you jump.
So I didn't play it on the Genesis, but so there was speed up, there's shoot your loud voice, and then what was the third button do?
Something equally stupid. I don't remember, but they all did something different.
But here's the other thing that Dodongo dislikes. Dodongo dislikes that there's no map in this game. And I know you said that there is a map. I think if you yell at the screen, it bounces back and just sort of gives you like a temporary map on the screen.
You can use your sonar by screaming at the right cliff sides, and it will make sort of a makeshift map. The makeshift map.
Right.
You just scream it into existence.
But does that happen? Is that another thing you learn? Because you told me that you actually, because this is an action, they consider this an action and adventure game, and you're the one who said that like you actually upgrade your powers, I guess, because at the beginning of the game you can't scream at jellyfish and kill them, but it seems like if you can get an upgrade, and then all of a sudden your sonar kills stuff. Which is weird.
Yeah, I think...
Because he screamed at such a high pitch that it makes things explode. And that's why we need Ecco the Dolphin to save humanity? Is that what he's trying to do? I know that he's trying to save...
So it turns out it's not just your pod that's at risk. This alien race will basically destroy all life on the planet. This is a quest to save humanity left to a dolphin against an advanced, superior alien race.
Yeah, so let's just talk about what the story of this really is. So you start off just like losing all your buddies. So it becomes a game where, okay, well, I'm going to go on an adventure to find my buddies, which would be perfectly fine. Like there was a game that my kids used to play called Endless Ocean, and they loved it. And it was basically you just swam around and like collected fish or something. I don't know what it was, but they played it all the time. It was on the Wii. But this game, it turns into this shit show of a story where Ecco goes to the Atlantis, and we learn that Atlantis had created a time machine to escape the aliens. So this
out of a DeLorean.
The way I see it, if you're going to build a time machine into a car, why not do it with some style?
An advanced civilization made a time machine to escape the aliens, but now we're at a point where Ecco has just sort of stumbled into this, and he's going to fight the aliens to save his pod? It's really, I don't know, like, I messed the whole story up, didn't I? I feel like I did. But that's the story. Once you go up into space, you fight the aliens as a dolphin.
You save the world.
Am I saving the world?
Yeah, you're saving the world. Your pod, and then everything the aliens were planning to do to the rest of the world. That was the beginning of their invasion.
Where did the Atlanteans go, though?
They turned into dolphins.
Maybe that is. Maybe they didn't turn into dolphins.
That's all I have to say about that.
That's all I got to say.
This game, it just... The generic spa music, the confusing direction, the loose, I say loose play control. The play control is actually not that bad. If all I wanted to do was swim around and do flips, which is pretty much all I did when I played this game, doing the flips with Ecco is actually kind of fun. It's kind of fun to control Ecco as a dolphin.
Right, but that's
the
what the
problem is that the environment is too condensed. There's too many narrow tunnels. There's too many little hidden paths. It should be more open, and you should feel more free, because the gaming mechanics to move around and jump and flip as Ecco are actually pretty good. You just don't have an area or an arena to do it. So it just, I didn't get very far in this game. I won't pick it back up again. I'm not going to play it again.
No, there's no level where you can just be a dolphin. And that's kind of a stupid thing to say, I guess, because you're a dolphin in the game. But like you were saying, there's no flipping. Then I'm doing fun dolphin stuff. Everything's out to kill you. This is another game where everything wants to kill you. Like the jellyfish, I want Ecco
to just be able to be a dolphin.
Yeah, like
just
the jellyfish, I guess don't want to kill you because they don't actively go after you, but they're always in the way.
They're always in the way.
The crabs just come out of nowhere and they respawn, which is ridiculous. The gems don't want to kill you, but none of that makes any sense. And it's not a great game. And once you go back in time and you find the missing piece of the DNA molecule, it automatically sends you forward in time. So how does that happen? Like if I needed an Atlantean machine to go back in time, but I didn't need it to go forward in time. And then when I got back forward in time, I have to go. I'm now powerful enough to, according to this thing that was in the water, because he gave me some super scream, like Sindel from Mortal Kombat.
Sindel wins.
I'm now powerful enough to take on the aliens, so he's going to send me back in time to when my pod was taken, and I'm going to get took. I'm going to get took with him.
Get tooken?
I'm going to get tooken.
You're about
I'm
to
going
be
to also
taken.
get taken, and I'm going to fight the aliens. But
see, that's the problem, is the aliens done took the wrong dolphin. So when you're taken, what they don't realize is that Ecco has a particular set of skills.
Skills that make me a nightmare for people like you.
But wait a sec, I wasn't... But if I go back in time to when the pod got taken, aren't I already there? So aren't there two Echoes? Or do I have to hide behind a gymnasium door while the other me goes on this grand adventure and then sneak my way up into the...
There should be a mechanism in the game that if you run into yourself, the game just resets.
Yeah. Well, that's a weird thing, because when you go back in time, you have to
Genesis
do the same
fire.
You have to do the same shtick. You have to talk to the one dolphin who asks you how high you can jump. So there's a weird thing going on here, that because you have to talk to them again, you jump up in the air and then you get sucked into the vortex. Well, my two questions are, one, why did I get sucked into the vortex the first time? And two, where's the other me at? Like, the other me also has to talk to them to trigger the same vortex, but if I'm triggering it as the future dolphin, future Ecco, then are both Echoes getting... It's very confusing.
Whoa.
I
refuse to spend more time thinking about this game than Sega did when they created it.
It's getting me more confused.
And which is making me more angry.
Okay, well then when you go up into space, because let's finish this out. Let's finish the game.
All right, please.
You go up into space, and you're in the alien spaceship. I guess you're into space, right?
I think so. I think you're talking about the never-ending scroll level.
The never-ending, eternally long auto-scrolling level. Now, I didn't play it myself. The person I watched play it. I guess I could put in the code to get the level, but it seems like it would be a level where if you made the wrong turn, you would die because the level's for some reason auto-scrolling you. I would probably have to play it, so I might be talking out of my ass, but you don't have oxygen anymore. You don't have oxygen anymore, so that makes me think that you're just sort of swimming through space. Is it you're in zero gravity, right?
Well, you can't breathe in the water. They established that earlier in the game. You can't breathe outside the water because you're in space.
But you're in the
got a continuity
so
error.
The breathing thing, yeah. So once you make it through this 4-hour-long anti-gravity spaceship maze, you fight the alien person.
The xenomorph.
The xenomorph.
The queen xenomorph.
With your yelling.
Yeah.
You just yell at them.
Smack it with your
smack it around, and then you're late. You're too late because the xenomorph has already eaten your friends, but not so much so they're digested, because after you smack her around enough times, she vomits up all your friends, and then you go back to the Earth somehow. I'm not sure how you get back to Earth. So when you kill her...
That's a good point.
Her mouth opens up.
Yeah.
and then you just see all your friends
and then
spinning.
you're just back on Earth.
So she's vomiting up everything she's eaten because she's dead.
Why don't you and your friends all burn up on re-entry?
I don't know how you get back to Earth. Magic egg. Maybe that was one of the other powers she got. Dodongo dislikes hidden walls. We've talked about that before, and we glossed over it. We didn't even talk about it here. But once you go back to the prehistoric area, there's spots where you need to swim down, but you can't tell you need to swim down because there's rocks there. So, and there's a lot of them.
Yeah,
so,
it's just lazy.
And there's also a couple areas in the Atlantis area where the statue you need to hit is up in the corner and you can just barely see it and you got to yell at it through the walls and stuff.
I mean, I could imagine of like a remastered, reimagined version of this game being okay, but the way it was executed, it's just impossible to stay with. This game makes me want to actively pursue non-dolphin safe tuna. In 2019, there's a class action suit against Starkiss, Chicken of the Sea, and Bumblebee Tuna claiming that their dolphin-safe claims were false and that they violated the 1990 Dolphin Protection Consumer Information Act. This game almost makes me want to donate money to their defense and switch to an all-canned tuna diet.
I will see your all-canned tuna diet and raise you this game makes me want to throw plastic straws in the ocean. I mean, nothing makes me hate dolphins more than this game. Dolphin. Like, every time I see a dolphin now when I'm down in Florida, I'm going to throw plastic in the ocean. And I love the ocean, but this game makes me hate the ocean. All right, now we've come to the part of the podcast, I think, where we're going to bomb this game.
We're going to bomb Ecco.
This was a short episode, and I don't know that there's just not a lot of meat on the dolphin's bone because we prefer dolphin safe, I guess, as a society. But I just couldn't get very far. And even when I watched like the playthrough, it was just like, I mean, it's just me swimming around, being attacked by crabs and yelling at them. I just don't. Listen, if you're out there and you have a Genesis game that you think is a good game, don't tell us Sonic. That's another part of the problem. Like, we're not experts with Genesis, so I don't really know what would be a good game for us to play.
Tell us what to explore next. I want to believe that there's a hidden gem out there for the Genesis that we're just not aware of, because I would love to play it. Because I want to like the Genesis more than I do.
Because I have like the Genesis Classic collection, like on Switch, and Nintendo also has like a Genesis thing where they release games kind of like their NES and Super Nintendo. It's just there's nothing out there that
I've got a Genesis Model 1, Model 2, and Model 3 at home, and I want to put them to use, but there's just not much to play, at least for
Altered
me.
Beast. The games that we used to play were Altered Beast, and I think that was the only one we ever played, Altered Beast. But they're all arcadey. I think that's the other thing. A lot of the Genesis games are very arcadey games, and not a lot of meat on the bone to get into. But maybe that's what they do well, because I know when we did the Mortal Kombat episode, I was a huge advocate for the Genesis version of Mortal Kombat. So maybe that arcadey style game is where they shine. Let's bomb the game. Can we just not give it any bombs, or do we have to at least give it something? What do you think?
You don't have to give it anything. I gave it. I'll just go. I gave it 1.5 bombs.
1.5?
And that was solely for trying something different. I think, like I said, there is an undeveloped Ecco the Dolphin game that could be fun to play. Sort of like when we were complaining about Ninja Gaiden. I made the comment that your play control is actually really smooth, but your environment makes it so that it really doesn't matter, and the play control overall is just kind of terrible. Similar concept here. The way that Ecco glides through the water and glides through the air is pretty smooth. I just would like a game where that matters. So they tried something different. In my opinion, they failed. In Dodongo's opinion, they failed. 1.5 bombs.
I gave Ecco the Dolphin half a bomb, because this is probably one of the worst games I've ever played. And I like dolphins, I guess. I swam with dolphins.
Not anymore.
Half a bomb.
If you're still here, thanks for sticking with us.
I think that's going to about wrap it up for this episode of Dodongo Dislikes Another Gaming Podcast. Follow us on our socials, Facebook, Twitch. Are you doing
TikTok?
TikTok,
yeah.
Have you done a TikTok yet?
Sure.
Yes. Well, maybe by the time this releases, you have done a TikTok. You have done a TikTok.
Yeah.
Twitter. Did I say Twitter? Whatever
it's
called.
But yeah.
Twitter's on there. Follow us there. We post stuff. Twitter, Facebook. Did I ever mention that I swam with dolphins once?
Really?
Yeah. We went on a cruise, and we were on this little excursion, and one of the excursions was you got to swim with dolphins. And I thought, I love dolphins. I hate Ecco the Dolphin game, but I love dolphins. This was something we could do, so we did it. So got on this bus. They drove us to